Hey everybody! Today I am coming to you from St. Louis, Missouri. And we were here for a beautiful family wedding and with our bestie brothers, and that was just wonderful, and it's been lovely, and I go home tomorrow. And I received a message today, so I thought I'd take a minute and come out here. Of course, it's always in the morning for me, even though it's 12, but hey, that's 11:22 Montana time. We're in Central Time, so technically it's still morning in Montana right now. And I wanted to share it. You know, you guys, there's very obviously many of you, and I've gotten lots of texts, lots of emails from many of you, lots of inboxes here on social media, on many of my accounts. And you guys are asking me, why, Danielle, why aren't you talking more about what's going on with people being deported? Why aren't you talking more about the Trump ignoring the Supreme Court? Why aren't you talking more? I'll tell you why I'm not talking more about that, because I think we all pretty much know that's happening, okay? There's a few of you out there that think this is all fake, and there's a few of you out there that really agree with what's happening for whatever reason. What I would tell you guys is we already have journalists who have covered this. So I know there's a significant amount of influencers out there, and I'm not going to call anybody out on this, who love to jump on the hysteria of a hot headline. My TikTok feed, in fact, is flooded with people hysterically re-reporting the fact that we are deporting people and blah. It's unbelievable. And we do need to stay in the know. I think that's very important, guys. I do. Unlike some of my colleagues in the spiritual field, I don't believe it's productive for us to just bury our head in the sand and hope it's all better. I understand many people need to disconnect from the bullcrap. I get that. However, it's important for us to recognize that right now there's a lot of really bad things happening in the United States to really good people. And there's a lot of dismissal of those bad things. And I think we can safely say we all know that's happening. All right. So that's why I'm not regurgitating the news as many of the influencers are doing across social media. I'm here to talk about something different in the midst of all of these really awful things that are happening. I want to talk to you about where you put your spirit and your head, okay? Because no matter how angry I get, and I get really mad, guys. I get stinking mad. I had a friend one time refer to me as a chocolate-covered bullet. That's true. You know that old saying, I'm nice until I'm not. And the one thing I would tell you is that in the midst of these horrible things that are going on that are scary and weird and incomprehensible for America and for a president to be doing, the one thing that no agenda, no president, no Heritage Foundation, no dark, scary creeper, whatever, can ever take away from you is how you choose to center your heart and your mind. This is why I'm always talking about keeping a cool head. I'm not talking about being nice. You know, I had somebody rip me an asshole through an email fairly recently while I'm on vacation at my friend's and family's wedding, ripping me an asshole, saying, Danielle, I'm sick and tired of hearing you talk about being nice to people. This isn't the time for nice. I am not talking about being nice. I am talking about not letting tyranny win. I am talking about not allowing this authoritarian thing that's been going down in our country for the last couple of months. I'm talking about how not to let it win. Now, the only way that we lose, those of us who believe in a better America, the only way we lose is to lose control of this. So go ahead and be hysterical. Sit down with your besties, husband, wives, go nuts, cry in your beer, throw a glass at the wall, cuss out the news, whatever you got to do. But spreading hysteria is exactly what an authoritarian regime needs for you to do, for them to maintain power. It's true. Because when we are hysterical and we're making these videos and we're hysterical and oh my God, it's all going down and this is happening. Yes, it's happening and it's hideous. Take a breath before you make that video. Influencers, you know who you are, and I am really critical of you turds because you guys have 10 million followers out there, and how are you using that? You're getting hysterical. You're parroting the news. No crap. We all know this is happening. Why don't you provide some action steps to your 10 million viewers instead of just being hysterical and regurgitating that which we know for views, influencers? God, use the privilege that people have given you, which is their attention, for something greater than advertising money, you turds. Wow. I don't even understand the world we're living in. Anyway, don't get hysterical. Be heartbroken, observe, yell and scream with your friends, but don't become hysterical. Because if we lose control of the prefrontal cortex, which is critical thinking, and we roll back into fight or flight, and we end up in this crouched back on our heels position of, do you know how easy you are to control? You are so controllable if you stay in a state of hysteria all the time. And guys, that's what these weirdos are trying to do. They're trying to make us all lose our minds. So we are so easy to control. So here's some action steps. I had a friend who said, what are my action steps, Danielle? And I don't have all the answers, you guys. Good God, I'm not even dressed yet, okay? I'm still drinking my coffee. So I don't have all the answers. But here are some action steps you can take. When you read something distressing in the news, or you see it or a friend tells you about it, allow yourself to have a human reaction. Scream, cry, freak out, cuss out the world, be depressed for a little bit, whatever. Now, after that chemical reaction and that spiritual reaction clears the body, okay, because we're basically just a bag of chemicals walking around on a calcium scaffold, you guys. None of us are Vulcan that I'm aware of. If you are Vulcan, reach out to me because I would love to know more about your culture. But none of us are Vulcan that I'm aware of. So we can't really logic our way out of that initial response. Have your initial response. After you have that, I want you to go outside and sit in the sunshine, okay? I want you to put your bare feeties on the ground, little baby feeties. They need to go on the ground. I need you to breathe some fresh air. And I don't need you to do this. Baby, you need you to do this, okay? Breathe some fresh air. Calm down. Feel billions and trillions of years of starlight, which is our sun, is a star, hitting your body, going through your body. Feel a billion-year-old planet under your feet and feel what's trying to go on here. And you will realize that the hysteria pumping is part of an agenda that we don't need to be part of. We can let people know what's happening. We can have a reaction, but let's come out of the hysteria. The only thing that authoritarian regimes can never take away from anyone, even in concentration camps, was their choice to stay centered. It drove the Nazis crazy. They would try to torture people and break people, and that incredible victimized population at some point figured out, you know what you can't take from me? Is my decision to not give you all of my power. So in order to make plans to move forward lawfully and constitutionally correct to deal with this problem of lawlessness that we have in the White House right now, we got to be calm to do it. You don't fight fire with fire all the time unless you're a firefighter and you're trying to stop a blaze. You know the fire, you can fight fire with fire. You got to burn out your own hysteria. That's how you fight fire with fire. Burn out your own hysteria by realizing that this is an unsustainable system. Now, we don't have the answers yet, guys. I don't even have the answers yet from the angelic realm. And I'm not saying I have the answer. I have one little puzzle piece to our big collective answer, guys. And we're supposed to come together with one another to add our little puzzle pieces. That's why I talk about not othering people. That's why I talk all the time about not blaming. You know, we got here by 1 trillion tiny cuts. So we can learn from the history as we go, but really we kind of don't have a lot of time for the big historically cut apart blame game. We know why we're here, guys. We know who the major players are. We're going to be shocked to learn as we go on some major players that maybe we thought weren't major players, guys. Okay? But that's weeds. They want us in the weeds. If we're in the weeds, we get hysterical. If we get hysterical, we lose. Are you hearing me? Have your feelings, but get a hold of this, because they can't take this away from us. They're trying to terrorize everybody under a rock. Stay centered. Stay present. Because let me tell you what's happening, okay? Right now, there's a group of people in the United States who have been made to be hysterical over the last 8 years through conspiracy websites, through all kinds of stuff, all right? These people are in such a state of hysteria that we'll see it all over social media. They're going up to their neighbors. They're pounding on their doors. They're screaming at them from the alleyways. And these neighbors are Latin. They're Mexican. They're here lawfully. And these white people are so hysterical that they're screaming at them horrible slurs. And a lot of them, you know, that I've seen happen to have Southern accents, you know, and I saw this lady with I think it's a Texas accent, I'm not sure, just screaming horrible slurs. I'm the neighborhood watch. Get out of my country, you F and B. And she is hysterical. And there is no reasoning with her. Guys, she's this poor lady that's going around the internet. And the poor lady she was screaming at, obviously, God. However, this poor lady has already lost the battle with her own fear and is so easily controllable. She's easily controllable by this narrative that brown people are the problem, not greed, not the crap in our food, not dividing us so that we fight with one another. This poor lady is so controlled by her own fear. She's a puppet in a system. And she's just doing her part because she's that afraid. So it's okay to be angry, guys. I have a few of you, especially in my LGBTQ community. I have some fellow gay people, some fellow folks out there, some trans folks who were writing to me saying, oh, okay, so you want me to just be happy and skip all the way to the guillotine? Is that what you want? Guys, y'all know I'm not saying that. So don't take your shitty anger out on me. You all know I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is this is a long game. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. You can't win a marathon sprinting. Spreading hysteria is an emotional sprint. I understand we're all scared. I'm a little weirded out. Yeah. But our action steps, calm down. Now, once you're calm, think about how to bring some sort of connection back to your community. Are you going to help a neighbor whose porch that needs fixed? Are you going to bring some food to somebody who needs it? Okay? We're going to stay in a centered place, America, and not become pawns through our own fear. If you lose control of this, guys, and I'm just going to be straight out with you. Mama going to be straight with you right now. Probably the straightest I've ever been in my whole life is right now. Okay? If we choose to lose control and become part of the hysteria because it feels like we're doing something, they win. And I mean I'm talking about a specific group of people who need to destabilize. The folks who wrote Project 2025. The folks who are running the oligarch greed machine. They need mindless, blown out, frightened workers, guys. And if we stay centered, it's going to make it harder for that agenda to come to pass. It's also going to keep a lot of you out of jail for doing garbage that's not going to help, except give a place for you to lay your frustration that they can then use in their narrative of, oh, aren't those people hysterical? We need martial law to protect us from the crazy people. Don't give this what it wants. What it doesn't want is for you to go have some hope in your community. What it doesn't want is you to realize you have a hell of a lot more power than you think you do. Laws only work because we adhere to them. You ever think about that? You know, the executive branch of this country could hand down an order that says turn all your gay friends in, turn all your brown friends in, turn all your black friends in. But if we don't do it, that's kind of hard to uphold that. There's not enough peacekeepers is what they're calling a lot of the ICE folks in the world to round us all up. Right now, our president wants to spend $65 billion. It's laughable to build detention centers in Ecuador for people who don't agree with his agenda. And guys, that is not only so absurd, but it's meant to instill fear. And it's creepy and it's heartbreaking and it's awful. I'm going to ask you to be a Jedi Knight. Okay? You could be like me, a Jedi Knight with a pompadour, if you really want to. You do you. But be a Jedi Knight. Practice those moments where you would watch the Martin Luther King documentary, and there's Martin Luther King, those beautiful people marching across the bridge into Selma, right? And how many times have you said to yourself, oh, if I was there, I'd be marching right next to him. Screw those crazy people. Would you, though? Would you? Because I see a lot of us who, and granted, this has only been going on 2-3 months, so you have a right to process your feelings. I see a lot of us wanting to hide. Don't hide your light. Don't hide your joy. Don't hide your smile. Don't hide your strength. Fellow lefties, please do not shut down people who are asking people to spread some joy and connection in their community. Please don't virtue signal and say, oh, if you're doing that, you're not understanding how hard it is. We all know, baby. We all know. And we're not all going to handle this the same way. And if we all get hysterical to pretend that we know how serious it is, and that's why we're wearing the hysteria, so we fit in with all of our other friends, they win. I'm not going to let them win. I'm stubborn. I see systems. I see energies. I see what they're trying to do. So if there are some of you out there that need to pin your anger on me, here I am. Go. Pin it. Pin it all over. I can wear it. I can wear your anger. You know why? Because you aren't mad at me. You're just freaking scared. All right? You're just freaking scared. And I'm not mirroring a message that makes you feel better in the chronic hysteria. I get it. And that's okay if you want to be mad at me about that. Because we're all going to calm down, and guess what we're going to do? On the other side of this, when we get it handled, we're all going to understand where we were coming from. And we were all coming from a place of brokenheartedness. Okay? So those are your action steps today. Do not let the hysteria overtake here. It is a critical war move. No argument was ever won. No battle was ever championed. No war was ever achieved with a winning result from losing control. Ever. So that's what I was saying in my big long video before. Let your heart break without breaking. Find solutions that involve everybody. And if some person wants to hold their phone up and scream and yell at you because they think you're different, your skin's brown, you're gay, you're black, whatever, you're wearing a dress, and they think you shouldn't be, and they want to be hysterical, I want you to try this on. I want you to look at that person and I want you to say, my God, they have lost control of their fear, and they are completely manipulated by someone or something that could give no shits about how this fear is eroding their spirit, their mind, their endocrine system. They are being used. God, and they don't even know it. And disconnect from that fear. It's a drug. Hysteria is a drug. It's a toxin. And if we stay hysterical long enough, did you know it actually rewires your brain? And you can't consciously come together, and you can no longer have command of a plan. That's why authoritarian regimes try to shock people's prefrontal cortex into fear, rage, and inaction. So have your feelings, but go outside, lean against that tree. You know what that tree's going to tell you? I was just talking to my buddy Shane here today about the mycelial network. It's the chemicals that attach all trees, and it's big in science right now, and it's even in Star Trek. That's how Discovery flies. It's a, mushroom drive that they fly on. It's a starship. Watch it. It's a good show. The trees know a thing or two about a thing or two. We can lean on a tree. We can pass our energy to that tree and say, please send love and peace to the people who have had their prefrontal cortex taken over by fear. And that tree's going to send it out to all the trees in the whole wide world and all the living things, that feeling of love. And then the tree's going to give you something. The tree's going to say, baby, this earth's been around so much longer than you have. And what wins is balance. What wins is ease, compassion. Yeah, nature can be a little harsh, but harsh nature is different than psychological trauma and terror. And your tree friends are going to remind you of the vibration that we actually live on. Now, I don't want to go too woo-woo because we are dealing with some real world functional constitutional crisis issues. However, you know what that group of folks is not dealing in? They're not dealing in the reality that the rest of us are living in. So spread peace in your communities. Spread awareness. Yet spread, we got this, guys. Keep your head. Spread joy. Now, there's a lot of you out that are like, quit being toxically positive. I'm not being freaking toxically positive. You quit being toxically negative and knocking the prefrontal cortexes out of everybody so we can't get together and fix this problem. You quit. Get out of my grill. God. If my positivity, which isn't even positivity, if my understanding how they're trying to undermine us and spreading messages about how not to be disabled so that we can come together and fix this issue is offending you, you're part of the problem, honey. And you might want to sit with yourself and say, why am I choosing this? I gotta stay centered, stay centered, stay centered. I'm not here to judge you. I'm not judging you. I get really pissed. I get really scared. I just don't come on here with it. You know why? Because I know the effect. I know it, guys. I see energies for a living. I know the effect it has on people. I'm just not going to do that. Have mindfulness, okay? So that's our action steps today. Have your feelings, calm down, go outside, sit by a tree, let the tree tell you, it's been around for millions of years, not the tree but the earth. Let it instill you with the confidence to come here, to come together, not to resist that which we do not agree with, but to simply not participate. Tai Chi, baby. You ever do Tai Chi? Somebody come at you. You don't hit them with equal force. You let their force take them. And then you look at them on the ground. You're like, you want a lemonade, man? That looks suck ass. I'm sorry that happened to you. You did that to you, right? We don't know how to get there yet, but the first thing I can tell you is we must stop being hysterical. Let's not do it today, okay? So I'm sitting here, the beautiful environment at my beautiful friend's house, very aware of the world, choosing to center so I can have my head on. So when we all come together with the big plan, we got it in joy and we got it for the right reasons. And there's nothing that can stand against that. And the folks designing all this chaos know it. I see they know it. So, all right, that's today's message. I love you. You have a great day. Go be centered. Remember, you can have a broken heart and not be broken.